Yo.
What's up, Doug?
What's up? I'm fucking excited.
Me too. This is gangster.
This album right here, I can't wait for the world to hear it, man.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Logic here with Hardknocktv. I'm about to sit down with my boy Nick Huff to discuss my third studio album, Everybody.
800.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah.
I was here when Khalid recorded his part,
okay,
but I haven't heard Alessia's part.
Exclusive. That's how much my man got an exclusive on this album.
Yep.
That's crazy.
On my birthday.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
This one was like, this is the song in the album that's like my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah, it's usually always like that. Like Never Been on the last album is like my least favorite, but it's always the fan favorite. Nikki, my least favorite, but it's always a fan favorite. So if I don't like it, I know it's good. I'm serious. Like the emotional ones, you know why? It's just because my whole life is so fucking emotional. You know, my whole life is like, has been like this like downtrodden, like dark escape. And so whenever I have to relive that in a way, so it's like, even though I've never personally dealt with, you know, suicidal thoughts, it's like I have to put myself in that place. So I have to put myself in a negative place, which is, I hope fans can really appreciate, because I'm taking myself to a place I don't want to be. I'm taking myself to a place as close as possible for me to where the listener is. So every time I listen to it, it like fucks me up. But the thing is like when I listen to it, it takes me to like not a dark place, but like a solemn or like a just kind of like that kind of place. But for the person who's there, it takes them to a higher place. So that's why I do it, you know. And I think I made so many serious songs on my mixtapes and shit like that. And especially the first album. I mean, the first album is just so dark and deep.
Right.
That like I've like darked out for my whole career. Like I just kind of don't want to do that anymore. But that's where I understand as an artist and as a lover of like people and my fans, that sometimes you got to give the fans what they, not even know what they want, but what they need.
Right.
What they don't know they want, you know, or what they don't know they need. So that's why I created this.
Why do you think it's important for your fans to hear a song about depression and suicidal thoughts?
I think this only pertains to the fans who actually have gone through it or are going through it. So I think it's important to know that they're not alone.
Right.
I think it's really crazy to know that my fans, like on the internet, they've like banded together, and there's like all these fan pages, and they all really interconnect and talk to each other. Some people's best friends they've met through myself. So it's like, imagine if someone can meet, you know, the next plane of sanity for themselves because of a song that I wrote or something that I've done. And it's like, it is really crazy. But once again, this comes down to the you know, words that I've heard, like, Logic, you saved my life. Logic, you were there for me when nobody else was, you know, on previous albums and mixtapes. And in my mind, once again, I was like, well, I wasn't even trying to do that. So Can you imagine if I actually tried to do it, if I sat there and did it? So when you first hear the song, you know, it's, I don't want to be alive, I just want to die today, which is so fucked up. So like when you hear that, you're like, what? Like it's some like emo, screamo shit. You know, I just want to die. Like, you know, all crazy. But I think it just gets so much more beautiful as it goes on. So it goes from I don't want to be alive, I just want to die, to the operator on the other line, you know. So it's about a person who's calling in and saying, you know, having suicidal thoughts, and they're at their wits' end, they want to kill themselves, and they're expressing that to the operator on the other line. Then that goes to the operator saying, I don't want you to die, I want you to be alive, I don't want you to die today. And then it's, you know, Alessia and myself singing from the perspective of the operator, giving them life, reason to live, should I say. And then there's the third and final hook, which is, I finally want to be alive, I don't want to die. And then you have Khalid at the very end. It's so beautiful, just singing like, I don't even want to die anymore. Like, this is crazy. It's really amazing. It's very beautiful. And so this song, when my buddy Jeremy, who did the strings for the whole album and conducted it and wrote all the music, when he put this song together, it made me cry. So he like did the end, and I like listened to the whole thing, but with the strings on it, it just made me cry so much. Like it was just so beautiful sonically, and it was really amazing. And that's another thing that let me know like how important it is. You know, like there's such highs on this album that sometimes you need something that just hits you.
Yeah, life can be it can be very fragile. And I think going from you have all these reasons to live, but sometimes one thing, two things, three things, four things can pile up, and then all of a sudden you can kind of feel like there's nothing to live for. A lot of people feel that way. Maybe some people take it to suicidal thoughts, but some people just go to a depression or whatever space. But because I think it's so taboo in our society to talk about that. We're always supposed to be happy. You're always supposed to put on, a certain,
Especially in rap.
especially in rap,
Because
especially in rap.
you're that dude all the time.
Yeah, it's like people want you to be this. That I think it's good for fans to see that, hey, we're all vulnerable. We all have our days where we feel great, and we have days where we
The whole
don't
album
feel.
is.
Yeah. If everybody thought that everybody else went through it, I don't think people would stay in that space as long.
See, that's why I think this album is going to be my most successful to date, just simply because, I've always been a vulnerable artist, and I believe that's why I've amassed the fans that I have, and that people like gravitate to me because I'm just myself and I'm honest. I think I say a lot of the things that people think and don't say, and I think it's other artists that I look at their success and the impact they've had on the culture, and it's like I kind of look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, this is really it for me now. I look at Kid Cudi also talking about depression and different things and kind of everything that he went through, and like when you listen to Kanye talk about how much he wants it in the rap game and all this shit on College Dropout, it's like you want it. You want something like Kanye wanted that more than anything, so you can like relate. And so on my first album, it was like, man, I'm really relating to Logic's struggle and like fight to make it, and like this is it, and he's actually here and he's released an album, but he doesn't feel as though he's made it or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, what is really making it and this and all this other stuff. And then you have my my second album, which is more about like trying to embrace and actually enjoy the moment in a sense and kind of talking about shit. But like, this is the album where I'm like, man, I'm talking about so much and it's so personal, but it's funny because it's from the perspective of other people. So it's like my most personal, and yet in a way where I'm not talking about myself. And I think that was also a really big thing that I wanted to do, because I've talked about myself my entire career. Every artist, for the most part, talks about themselves, especially in rap. I came from here. This is what I'm about. My lyrics are the best. My rhymes are the coolest. My this, my that. Me, I. So I was like, well, I'm so accustomed and used to talking about myself. So what if I play a character? Because if I'm a character, but I'm talking about myself, I'm actually talking about someone else. But since I'm so like systemically used to talking about me, it allows me to put myself in someone else's shoes, still rap about me, which is what we're used to in the rap world, and it will come so naturally. And I think it did. And I haven't really thought about that, so it's cool that I'm saying it right now.
And I think a trait of yours is empathy. I think when you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes, then it's like you lived through it.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing, man. And to be a voice for someone who might not have it is a big deal. Yeah, because I just think about that all the time. I always think about others, not like, I always think about, but I mean in the sense of like the people I work with, other people's positions, what they might be going through. Because I remember when I was going through what I was going through, man, there was a time when I was like 17 years old and there was this case of mistaken identity. It was like 7:30 in the morning and I was in Maryland. And I don't think I've ever told anybody this. And I was on my way to go to work, 17. And mind you, I weighed like 95 pounds. Not even kidding. I was a very just little skinny white looking motherfucker. Just like,
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, straight up. No, that's real. And so I was waiting at the bus stop, and this like hood ass dude and his friend like roll up on me, and they're looking like they're about to like they want to fight me and shit. And this is gonna sound crazy, but there's this kid that I went to school with, and we look so identical, like insanely identical. And apparently this guy stabbed him.
Wow.
So this dude swears I'm this dude who stabbed him.
Yeah.
And I'm on the bus with him, right? Because the bus comes, and I like get on the bus, and they get on the bus. And it was like this whole thing, and it was just kind of fucked up because he's like, basically saying like, when we get off this bus, I'm gonna stab the shit out of you.
Wow.
And I had my knife, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy because I don't want to stab this guy, but like if I have to, like what's gonna happen? Like I don't know. It was this whole thing, and it was really scary. Why was I saying all this? It's very important. What were we talking about?
Empathy.
Oh yeah. So here's this fucking dude. And like this bus is packed, and nobody realizes like that this dude just like wants to like stab me for like no reason. Like it's crazy. Like this is the shit that like people don't even realize I had to go through growing up. It's like this is a good day. Like for real. And so long story short, like I didn't even have my ID on me, so I couldn't like prove that it wasn't me. But I think his friend like was like, yo, I really don't think this is the guy. Like legit. And then he was like, yo, my bad. And that was it.
I'm not going to stab you today. It's cool.
Yeah, but my point of what I was saying is like, man, on that bus, I was like, am I going to die? Am I going to kill this guy? Are we going to fuck each other up? Like I just literally, and I'm 17 years old. I'm going to work in a fucking daycare to take care of children. Like I don't need to be focused on this shit, And I was filled with terror and horror and you know, I was scared and adrenaline and so many different things. And you know, white chick with her kids on the taking her kids to school, not worrying about shit, like, you know, or maybe she is, but I'm saying, like, these are the things where you look at somebody else and you don't know what's going on, you know, at all. So it's always nice to, like, do your best to be aware of others. And I don't know, it's kind of a random story, but, like, I don't know. So I would think about that. You know, you never know who's ill or who's this or who's that or going through this. And it's just really crazy. So it's like you just have to appreciate where you are in your life. Because life really is short, you know? I mean, it's so fucking short. And it's going by quick, man. Just a few years ago, it felt like I moved to LA and we met each other and this and that. And it's like, yo, I've literally been here. I've been in LA for 5 years. 5 years. I'm older than my engineer when I met him. So when I met Bobby, he was 26, you know, and I was this 22-year-old kid looking at him like he was like a grown man, had it all figured out. Now I'm older than him, like I don't know shit. So it's just kind of crazy. But like one thing that's really hard, and it just sucks because there's so many people out there that they're going to feel this feeling, and hopefully a lot of other people don't, is like, I don't ever want to look back and be filled with regret. But I won't be, because I've already made that decision in my life. Like, I'm here, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to be filled with regret. And so I did it. I actually went out and I did it. I followed my dream, and here I am. Now, there's still other things, you know. I don't want to regret not acting, so I want to make sure I act, or I don't want to regret, you know, looking back and feeling like I wasn't the best husband or father or didn't. So there's a lot of things to still do. But the biggest thing, as far as your fucking dreams go, is like, yeah, I don't want to look back and be 50 years old. And that's still young in the grand scheme. But like, of looking back, like when I had the youth and as quick as I was and all the time in the world. Because like, I talk to people about their dreams and what they want to do, you know, and I talk to them in front of their parents or whatever the case may be. And they'll be like, well, you know, I really want to do like music.
Right.
You know, but like, you know, I have this opportunity to go to college, or I have this and that. And in my mind, I'm like, if you have money to go to college, go fail, go try to rap, or, you know, this or that, like, cause you got the time, you have the time to do it. So go take a few years and really give it your everything. If it doesn't work, then go do something else. You know, if you got a scholarship, that's it's different. Look at Cole, fucking cum laude. Like, that's just another example of like somebody who got their education, was still grinding. And that's what I always say, like, whenever somebody's like, yo, I fucking hate high school, and like, I just want to drop out, and like this and like that. It's like, well, I got kicked out of school, and I worked 2 jobs, and, you know, I still made, you know, 3-4 songs a day. You know, they probably weren't that great, like we were talking about, but I'm saying, like, you know, I still made all these, I still found time. So it's like, don't tell yourself that you need to quit, or that's just lazy. Yep. You're just being lazy. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
We always go on these crazy life tangents. You talked a little bit about Khalid. How did that happen? How did y'all bond? How did he get on?
Khalid came from you, because you were playing his shit. Because like Nick, he always be playing me shit, like trying to put me on, like, yo, check this out, you never know, blah, blah, blah. So like he played, but like you usually play me like great music. But for whatever reason, Khalid, I guess that just goes to show like his talent. I was really like, whoa, this is super dope. And you were on it like hella early. And I just really enjoyed the music. And then somehow...
You hit him on Twitter or something, right?
Yeah, I just hit him on Twitter. And I just followed him. And he was like, oh my God. He was like freaking out. I guess he's a fan and just like knew. And I was like, oh wow, here's somebody who hasn't been tainted by like ego. Because he was like, I'm such a fan. And I was like, me too. Like, because I'm the guy that I'll put my heart out and be like, hey, so-and-so, I really like your music. Right. And they'll be like, like that's the, and then it fucking ruins it for me. I'm the guy who would love to shake your hand, but I've already extended my hand so many times that most people don't shake it, or they're like, sub dog. And I'm like, oh, all right, you fucking cunt. I'm serious, like, what a dick. So for this one, I wanted to just say hey, you know, and I did, and he was really nice, and I followed him, and then he freaked out, and then he DM'd me, and it was like, DM me all this shit, and I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. He was just really nice. And then somehow, we definitely stayed in touch through text, just like, because I told him, I was like, I don't want anything from you. You know, I was like, I just think you're really cool. And then we started talking, and then musically, we just started talking about music. It's like, oh shit, I'm the big homie now. This is crazy, you know, like in a nice way. So it was like, let me remember what it was like when I was the dude who was hella young and nobody was like really fucking with or like trying to put their arm around. And this was before the album was out. His album was out and all this other shit. Yep. So I was like, this is dope. Look at this young kid who has great talent. So I was like, hey man, I think I have an idea. Would you be down? He was like, of course I would. So I was like, all right, this is so cool. You know, great relationship building. And so I told him about the concept, and he came over here, and I was like, and I'd sent him a portion of the song, the instrumental.
Is this before he heard your album, or? Because you guys played each other's albums,
Yeah,
right?
we played each other's albums. I don't remember.
Okay.
It might have been, I think I played it for him first. I just played him the whole thing. But we had talked about it first, and then I played it for him, and then I sent it to him, and then he came back like the next day. And yeah, I mean, he recorded it. It was simple. That's how, you know, it was just smooth. It was easy. It was like, but I went to him because everybody that I work with, they're the best at what they do. So it's like, I already knew he was going to be great. And I was like, rap about being happy that you're surviving. I told him what it was all about. And it's like, you now are the moment at the end. You're rejoicing. It is emotional. You're a beautiful person who realizes why life is incredible and why life is worth fighting for and living for. So then he came over and laid it, and he just did it perfectly. That's what I was saying. Like, I just told him kind of what to do, and he just embodied it, and then he bodied it.
Yeah, talking to him a little bit before he went on, like, he really, like, took it home and, like, really, like, internalized it and, like, put himself in those shoes, which I think was, you always want that from artists. Like, you don't want it just to be another song.
Any great artist can do that, and that's what speaks volumes about Khalid. That's another thing that I love about this album is, like, I've had more features on this than, like, ever, like, anything. I mean, I didn't have any features on the first album. And the second one, who did I have? I had, you know, D from the Frontrunners, homie. I had Lucy and Lenny, I think.
Right.
That's it. You know,
well, on the first album, you had the bonus tracks, right? So you had
but that doesn't count.
To some fans, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You got Gambino.
Yeah, but not on an album. That doesn't really count. Not in a negative way, but it's just like, that wasn't the album.
Right.
That was like the deluxe, in my mind.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you could argue. But, like, for this, it's, like, really cool to have so many features. But they're all just the right ones. They fit. It's not just like I got somebody just to get them, because it's like, you know, that's stupid. So.
Well, on this song, you also got Alessia on here that you already had a relationship with. You would actually jump on the remix to hear.
Yeah, yeah, like I brought her out when I did the Palladium.
Right.
Her and Juicy J. It's like so polar opposite and rare and awesome. We just kept in touch, very friendly. She's like my little sister, you know, like I always text her and just, how you doing? How's everything going? You know, or she'll check in. It's very, very simple. She's just a really sweet person. And she's probably my favorite female artist today, personally. I just love, there's many artists, and that's a big statement, but not to knock anybody else. But she's probably my favorite just because of what she stands for. She's not over sexual. And she's a very beautiful young woman, but she doesn't flaunt this or that. She's just herself. And she's sweet and kind, and like, you know, my wife loves her, and my wife's very like meticulous about who she likes, especially in today's climate, because she's very similar with her own music of like not wanting to be a fucking slut and throw it all out there. And hey, not all women who throw it out there are sluts. That's not what I mean. Some people, it's just the image or the fun, or they're in tune with their own sexuality. But I'm just talking about from like a standpoint of young women and young girls who are going to look up to this. I really like what Alessia stands for.
She's kind of like the female version of you.
Yeah, she kind of is.
I met her briefly when she came and did Gratitude when I was at Beats One. Like she came off as very authentically vulnerable and just herself, and not really worried about like, you know, trying to
impress
be
nobody.
something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's cool. She's just her. She's kind of like a nerd, and like, you know, just weird. And that's cool. I like that. Not weird in a bad way, but she's
We're
just
all
like
weird.
Quirky. Yeah, but she's not trying to hide it.
Right.